Hey, how are you today? Here we have a new story for you. Our story begins at the 18th birthday party of our protagonist. His sister arrives and asks him to tell her what wish he made on his birthday. At first, he hesitates to tell, but as she begs, he decides to reveal that the wish he made was for his family to stay together forever. However, at the moment he says this, the building they live in is attacked by a monster, resulting in the death of his entire family as the building collapses from top to bottom. Then the protagonist sees the monster, which is very powerful and is destroying the city. He tries to escape, but his legs do not respond. Suddenly, he wakes up screaming, realizing that it was all just a dream. His teacher approaches, about to give him a lesson, but the protagonist does not receive the lesson because he is very intelligent. Later, it is explained that the Earth entered a new era in 2036 when a sudden disturbance in space-time transformed the Earth into a game map full of dangers. Humans acquired levels that can be upgraded, as well as the ability to evolve professions and skills. After years of initial chaos, the 5 main cities of the League managed to control the monsters and establish a new world order. Despite his intelligence, the protagonist was only level 3. After class, he meets Luff, who is level 5 and asks for money in exchange for protection. The protagonist protests as he used to be protected by Luffy from older students. A fight begins between them, but then John Frey, level 7, intervenes and ends the fight. Returning home, the protagonist feels defeated as he is the only known case of someone unable to level up. At his 18th birthday celebration at home, the protagonist is sad, but decides to suggest that the family celebrate his birthday at a restaurant. After the celebration, he feels relieved, believing it was all just a coincidence. However, a mysterious rift appears behind them, and a level 15 ghost-eyed demon spider emerges, causing panic among the people. The protagonist's level 10 father tries to delay the spider to allow his family to escape, but is quickly defeated. The protagonist's level 10 mother also tries to help, but is also defeated. The protagonist tries to protect his family, but is severely attacked by the spider. His sister intervenes, trying to distract the spider to allow the others to escape, but she is gravely injured. The protagonist tries to protect her, using himself as a shield. He promises to buy time for her to escape, but his low level 3 ability is of no use since it is permeated with gravity, making it worse. He tells her to escape, cursing himself for not being able to level up, asking why he is so weak, as his health bar quickly drops, leading to certain death. Then, in front of him, a window appears, mentioning that he has reached the required experience level to activate the system. The system removes his ability to select a random account of the king, which ends up being the Emperor Kilan. He tries to escape with the time his brother bought for him, but it is no use as the spider quickly catches up with him. Very sad, he decides to sacrifice himself to avenge his brother. At that moment, someone appears and defeats the spider with a single blow in the air. This person turns out to be legal with a completely different appearance. He took the skills of the flaming sword to massacre the spider, which gets very scared. For a simple level 3, he is surpassing it after 3 seconds. He is very tired, feeling that his body is about to explode. This makes the spider happy because he is about to die from his own power. He needs to defeat the spider before the transformation time runs out, and the spider escapes to hunt strong human beings. He creates a circle of fire, scaring the spider because a level 3 has a lot of power. Then the support team arrives and goes straight for the spider. He tries to warn them that it is dangerous, but they underestimate him, seeing that he is only a level 3. Fearlessly, they say they will defeat the spider in seconds, but did not expect that spider webs would appear from the ground, trapping them with no chance of escape. These webs begin to absorb the support squad's experience, causing the spider to level up 3 consecutive times, becoming even more powerful. The spider starts to attack him, who manages to protect himself but barely, as the spider's new power is very frightening. The spider mocks him, saying that a simple level 3 cannot kill her, and with a deadly attack throws him far away, leaving him severely injured on the ground. As he gets up, he recounts that he spent 3 years without leveling up, but now, as a different person, he will show the power of this person he lives by. Very cool, he launches his last attack called Ultimate Red Storm, which hits the spider, making it scream in pain. The spider, seeing that the fire contains the essence of the Emperor's realm, asks who he is, but before getting an answer for defeating the spider, He receives 20,000 experience points, a level 1500 magic crystal, 5 poisonous spider silks, and a luck ring. But using so much power, he ends up fainting. Upon waking up, he finds himself in the system space. Looking ahead, he sees the Emperor Chilan's account. Before continuing with the video, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe since this is the best way to support the channel. Then the welcome system explains that he must accumulate a lot of experience if he wishes to unlock various real accounts of maximum level. The system automatically unlocks the Emperor Chilan's account because he accumulated experience that took him to level 10, making him happy. His 3 years of effort were not in vain. The system recommends that he accumulate more experience to increase the level of union with the king's account because the higher the union level, the more power he will be able to exert. Seeing all the Emperor Chilan's skills at maximum level, he sets the goal of unlocking more accounts and creating an army of kings with all attributes so as not to have weaknesses in attributes in the future. The first thing he does is increase the level of union with the experience he gained from defeating the spider, which makes him level up twice, reaching level 12. Then he gets angry since his profile still shows him as a weak level 3. He wakes up in a hospital, hearing voices, and is surprised to see that his body is completely healed thanks to the system. However, this cost him 10,000 experience points. Outside his room, he is arguing with a doctor for not using advanced healing to save his brother and father. The doctor explains that they all received a great poison from an elite monster, and the 2 women can be saved because they did not receive as much poison. But the father needs a very expensive medicine that will only keep him alive for a month. Even as a brother, even with the medicine, he won't live more than a week. He was very sad because even taking medication, everyone dies. And the mother, even to keep them alive for a short time, will have to sell the house. Upon hearing this, he tells his mother not to sell the house because he will find a way to earn money for his father's medicine. Dr. Albert asks how he recovered so quickly, but he says that's not important now. Since the price of the medicine is 300,000, he asks the doctor for an hour to gather the money, and the doctor, being decent, agrees. Outside the hospital, he decides to sell an object he got from killing the spider. It was the level 15 magic crystal, which would be valuable, but not easy to sell due to level restrictions. He decides to go to an underground black market where they sell everything, regardless of level. Upon arrival, the guards don't let him in because he is level 3, and they are about to forcibly expel him when they are interrupted by Mr. Y, who mentions that anyone can enter the market if they have something valuable to sell. He asks Y to show what he wants to sell, and he shows the level 15 magic crystal. Mr. Y, impressed with what he has, lets him enter the black market where he is impressed because it looked like a bar. A guard takes him to a private VIP room where they start talking about the price of the magic crystal. Mr. Y offers 100,000 for the crystal, but the man who brought him says no and is about to leave. However, guards interrupt his path because Mr. Y wanted the crystal at all costs. He didn't want to fight, as this would cause disturbances affecting his earnings and his family's treatment. At that moment, an important person arrives. Seeing that the magic crystal is level 15, he offers the 300,000 that the man is asking for and decides to leave. A rule of the black market is to sell an item to whoever offers the most money. He thanks him for saving him and offers other valuable items, as he used the opportunity to humiliate Mr. Y. However, he agrees to buy the magic crystal for 300,000. At the hospital, the man's father is in terrible condition. The hospital director arrives and, seeing that they are poor, does not want them to continue using the medicine on the father. The doctor asks for a moment as he promised to gather the money in an hour. However, the director does not believe it as he is a level 3. He is about to disconnect the father, but the man tries to stop him. The director does not care about the father's life and pushes the man away. At that moment, the man arrives, breaking down the door. Seeing that the director hurt his family, he burns the director's hand as punishment. The doctor is happy to see the director suffer as he only cared about money. He gives 10,000 more to the doctor for his father's recovery. As the doctor is leaving, he is surprised to see that, even being a level 13, he recovered from poisoning and managed to get 300,000 in less than an hour. He apologizes to his brother for not being able to protect their parents, but the man tells him not to apologize as it was his fault for not arriving at the hospital faster. He is also sad because in his current state, he will not be able to participate in the dungeon competition at the academy, which supposedly had a prize of 500,000 for the winner. Upon hearing this, the man says not to worry about the money as his brother will take care of winning the competition the next day at the academy. The dungeon competition is about to begin, and the academy director tells them that the rumor about the 500,000 was true. The director says that the dungeon monsters are level 5, and the final boss is a strong level 10 monster called Day of Shadows. The students thought they would die in the competition, but the director tells them they can form groups of 5 people, which cheers up the students, since with a group it won't be so complicated. However, the director also tells them they should be wary of other groups as they might be attacked. Lastly, he explains how to win the competition, which is to accumulate the most individual points by killing monsters. Additionally, other groups can attack to claim their points, causing fear of betrayal among teammates. After giving all this information, the competition begins. Before entering, everyone looks for companions to form groups. Some students mock Henri for competing, but he ignores them and decides to enter alone. His teacher tells him not to do this as he will die since he is only level 3. An offer appears. Someone will include him in their group if he humiliates himself in public. He ends up being humiliated with words, which infuriates Henri. However, the teacher intervenes, telling him to wait to fight until entering the dungeon. An angry Henri promises to wait. When entering the competition, the system grants him 2,000 points for entering the first dungeon. Tiana, who was observing from afar, found it interesting that someone at level 3 was entering a level 5 dungeon alone. Without wasting time, he quickly dealt with low-level mobs and delved deeper into the dungeon, following the trail of threatening spiders that roamed inside. Eventually, his search led to a tangled crimson web that trapped a young girl in its sticky snare, none other than Tiana, a level 5 healer whose situation had caught Henry's attention. Despite her relief at seeing someone come to her rescue, Tiana was shocked at the sight of Fiona's brother, who was only level 3. Concerned for his safety, she begged Henry to flee as the danger inside the dungeon was too great for him to handle. With unwavering determination, Henri maintained his position, refusing to abandon his sister's dear friend Tiana. Henri invoked the power of the Crimson Flame Emperor, unleashing a scorching heat blast that melted the webs and freed Tiana. As they fled from the smoldering remains of the web, the formidable level 8 Red Widow spider had its eyes glaring with fury, launching a series of venomous projectiles towards the pair. They dodged the deadly attack, but the spider was not deterred. Quickly, it trapped them again in another sticky snare, binding them tightly as the giant spider moved away in search of new prey. Tiana and Henri found themselves once again trapped with no way out in sight. Henri frantically searched for a solution, knowing that the Red Widow spider had a tendency to use human bodies as incubators for its eggs. Tiana was overwhelmed with terror at the thought of being used as a host for the brood, struggling to break free from the sticky strands. Her movements only served to tighten the web further, leaving Henry no choice but to act on his own. Emperor of the Crimson Flame had no choice but to place his head between Tiana's large breasts and use his teeth to gnaw, until before she hardened while he worked. Tiana emitted a series of peculiar noises, causing her to writhe in discomfort to avoid embarrassment, and after a few confused moments, they finally managed to break free from the spider's clutches. While Tiana celebrated their newfound freedom, their joy was short-lived as the Red Widow spider returned more fierce and vengeful than ever. Undaunted Henri summoned the power of the Emperor of the Crimson Flame, preparing for the battle ahead. With ultra-fast reflexes, he dodged the spider's initial attack. His eyes fixed on his formidable enemy, gripping his sword firmly, he leapt into the air, his body moving with the grace and precision of an experienced warrior. With a single decisive blow, he cleaved the spider in half. Its once terrifying presence reduced to nothing more than an inert corpse. Henry was rewarded with a generous amount of 1,000 points and 5,000 experience points. Although Tiana had contributed little, she still received 500 points for her help, her eyes full of curiosity as she circled around her new companion, begging him to carry her proposals. While Henry took his deserved trophy from the dead spider, his heart leapt with joy upon discovering a rare and precious piece of equipment whose properties allowed him to inflict negative effects on his enemies. To his surprise, the item underwent a sudden and dramatic upgrade, transforming from common to rare quality. He soon remembered the luck ring he had acquired from the fearsome level 18 spider, a legendary piece of equipment that granted him the chance to increase the quality of found items. While Tiana clung to Henry's arm, the pair continued to venture further into the winding forest. Suddenly, their journey was rudely interrupted by a group of unpleasant characters who had initially used Tiana as bait to lure the Red Widow spider, only to cowardly flee when the battle turned against them. The leader of this diverse crew was none other than Lion, unrepentant for his cowardly actions. He and his cronies turned their attention to the charred remains. Once revealed, it was Henry who had defeated the fearsome creature for their entertainment. The group exploded in laughter, mocking and ridiculing Henry, clearly not believing Tiana's words. As the group argued among themselves, their words were suddenly drowned out by a monstrous roar that echoed through the dungeon. It was unmistakable, the sound of the tyrannical demon Tyrannosaurus, a fierce elite. Despite the danger, the group of cowards seemed positively thrilled at the prospect of hunting such a formidable foe. However, Henri knew better than to underestimate the beast. He warned the others about the potential danger, but his words fell on deaf ears, ignoring his wise counsel. They confronted the tyrannical demon Tyrannosaurus. They were shocked to discover that the creature was already severely wounded, its health points reduced to less than 75%. Lion was insistent on fighting the beast to impress Tiana, but as they advanced towards the enraged creature, they soon realized their grave mistake. Demonic Yang was in a state of maddened fury, and his miserable attack only served to further enrage the beast. In moments, the group was thrown through the air by a powerful tail strike. One of its members was killed instantly. Yang ran through the diseased vegetation, his heart racing with the impact of his feet against the forest floor. The wild beast, with its snarling jaws and piercing eyes, was on his trail for hours. He needed a quick escape and had to divert the beast's attention to another player. Remembering that Henry and Tiana were nearby, turning a corner, Yang saw two figures in the distance. As he approached Henry and Tiana, the despicable man suddenly hid behind, pushing Tiana towards the beast subconsciously. Although it caused only 1 point of damage, it was enough to transfer the beast's focus from Yang to Tiana. Yang let out a wicked laugh as he used his unique abilities to disappear. However, his moment of triumph was short-lived, as Henry sensed his presence and managed to grab him by the neck before throwing him to the ground. The impact of his collision shattered the ground into 1,000 pieces, and a circle of flames erupted around the enraged beast, momentarily trapping it. Witnessing Henry's impressive power, the shameless man couldn't resist the temptation to ask for his help to kill the powerful beast. However, Henry's stoic expression remained unchanged, and he refused the man's offer with a dismissive hand gesture. Indifferent, the shameless man fell to his knees, pathetically begging for the father's help. Suddenly, the beast let out a roar in its torment, making the ground tremble under their feet. In the chaos, the shameless man saw his opportunity to attack. He drew his poisonous dagger and lunged at Henry with wild ferocity, hoping to catch him off guard. However, Henry's sharp perception and extremely quick reflexes left no room for such an attack. Without hesitation, he blocked the attack with his sword and thrust his weapon straight through Yang's heart. The protection system kicked in and removed Yang from the treacherous dungeon. Henry's sharp mind immediately recognized the golden opportunity before him. Not only had he obtained Yang's coveted points, but he had also acquired his weapon and skill. However, he had little time to revel in his good fortune, as the enraged beast was upon him in an instant. With extremely quick reflexes, Henry struck the beast with a swift blow, his weapon glinting in the dim light of the dungeon. However, he knew he couldn't let the beast suffer while in its maddened fury state, which would deprive Henry of obtaining the rewards. In a calculated move, he ordered Tiana to prepare her purification spell, ready to free the beast from its furious trance. Henry continued his assault, striking the beast with powerful blows and expertly executed maneuvers. As the beast's health dropped below 20%, Henry knew the moment had come. He ordered Tiana to cast her purification spell. As Tiana twirled her delicate staff in a mystical pattern and recited the incantation, an aura of power enveloped the air. The energy surged as she summoned a radiant heart-shaped symbol that glowed with light. Ethereally, with a graceful movement, Tiana directed the heart towards the fierce beast, and with a brilliant flash of light, the beast was restored to its senses. To the surprise of Henry and Tiana, the beast was transformed before their eyes into a lovable creature from the legendary Digimon series. With a sudden realization, ready to strike the final blow to the seemingly harmless creature, however, before he could do so, Tiana ran forward, throwing herself in front of the creature and hugging it tightly, her pleading eyes fixed like a pet's. For a moment, he considered her request and suddenly said there must be a way to repay their loss. The only way was to take all of Tiana's points while keeping the creature as a pet, which he called killing two birds with one stone. Tiana hesitated for a second but still valued the points more, so she handed over the miniature creature. The miniature creature made an innocent look, but Henry was not convinced. Summoning his sword, he stabbed the poor creature, absorbing its energy. Tiana couldn't help but feel a sense of guilt and sadness as she watched helplessly while he drained every last bit of life from the poor creature, knowing that mercy was not an option in this world of survival. However, Tiana's brief sadness was soon replaced by euphoria as she received 2,500 points. Meanwhile, Henry went to check his dimensional system and unlocked a powerful new ability called the Eye of Truth for his Crimson Flame Emperor. With this ability, he could see all living organisms within a certain radius. While Henry was just beginning to master his newly discovered ability, Tiana hurriedly went to examine the loot. To their surprise, Tiana discovered a mysterious egg and called Henry to come closer and take a look. The label X was written with enigmatic markings, and the description said it could be hatched using experience or transformed into a delicious egg-fried rice dish. Despite the unusual nature of the egg and its unconventional use, they recognized the egg as an extremely rare find. Together, they wondered what creature could emerge from its shell. Kira, who was diligently monitoring the entire event, was deeply impressed with the exceptional performance. However, her fascination with the young man only increased when the director issued a decree that Henry had been stuck on level 3 for over 3 years and could not evolve. Kira was immediately curious for the director to release the ranking list displaying everyone's positions, despite the director's concerns that this could result in additional complications beyond the already challenging circumstances. Kira was determined in her will to observe more of his abilities. However, after that, on the other side of the offensive, a group that did not want to join him by obtaining his points suddenly had a window appear in front of them, offering the location of all groups for those who wanted to take points from other groups more easily. The ranking table also appeared, surprising Luffing, who was in 3rd place. They decided to defeat other groups, especially the Deja Vu. On the other hand, this group was fleeing because before they were confident they would win, but the opposite happened. The offensive arrived and defeated them. The leader of this group, with just one move, obtaining all the points by knowing that the Academy revealed the location of everyone in the offense, which was done to make the competition more violent. However, he is happy because now he can find groups more easily. Then they receive a message informing them that they are in 1st place in the competition, making them very happy. Looking at the remaining groups, they see that only 3 remain, and Antian asks why Lufim's group hasn't attacked them yet. Luffing explains that he is waiting until they are weakened because he realized that an attack now would be easy in the offing. Using the Eye of Truth to find the latent shadow, allowing him to see clearly through the forest and easily find the final boss guided by a flame of fire, they set off to face the final boss. Meanwhile, in the distance, Antace is angry because he couldn't find the latent shadow, but he decides to follow him to kill him along with the final boss. However, on his screen, the location doesn't appear, irritating him because he believes that no offing used a skill to hide it alone since he knew Antace was angry and that he would abandon it. On the other hand, she is scared because Mofo instructed her to be bait. In front of her, no Offum appears, asking where Antian is, but she responds that she doesn't know. Luofen gets irritated, thinking she is lying and about to kill her when a monster appears behind them, killing some members of Ankia's group. Most were scared to find the latent shadow, but Luofen's attacks it without fear. Along the way, Luofen realizes that finding the latent shadow by chance was a plan, and decides to kill it as part of his strategy. Leading the group, he gives orders that make the latent shadow retreat, scaring the air because it was defeating them easily. Luofen's group was happy for the reward they would receive by attacking the moon, informing the others that the latent shadow is entering the second phase, scaring them because they had never fought against this phase. The latent shadow creates level 7 monsters from its roots. Luff prevents them from keeping information, but they are running scared. Tiana is being held by a monster at that moment, and Jayovada appears, defeating the monster and apologizing for using them as bait. He hugs her happily since she can help him. He scolds Dubois for using them as bait to then defeat the Shadow Ria. He tells her that he just wanted to see her fight and was surprised by her leadership skills, but in the end, not caring about the compliments, says that a force has arrived. He said it's not someone from the group, thought about killing him, but not being as powerful as Yogurt ends up dying. Lu Final starts attacking him upon seeing that he killed one of theirs, but he arrives with a single blow and makes him fly. In the end, he says that he won't be able to defeat the Shadow Ria alone, but he says yes, and to prove it, he defeats all the level 7 monsters of the Ufe group. In the Shadow Ria, he begins to absorb the power he used to create the level 7 monsters. His body starts to scream while completely destroying itself. The previous bed falls apart, and the form of the Shadow Ria appears, becoming even stronger than before. The Shadow Ria, with monstrous speed, gets behind him, but he manages to protect himself and is surprised because a level 10 shouldn't have this speed. The Shadow Ria, with its newfound overwhelming strength, makes him fly, and afterward he attacks with his roots from the ground at the end, beginning to laugh, thinking that he is not as powerful as he says, but he blocks the roots with an ability. Then, with great speed, he gets behind Ria from the shadows and uses a fire ability to defeat her in seconds. Upon completing the dungeon, a door appears through which they can return to the academy. He was about to kill at the end before crossing the door, but he starts to apologize on his knees. However, this was just a distraction since he plans to cross the door first to win. Before he manages to cross, he spins and defeats in the end with a single move, leaving only 2 people as participants. He is very happy because he will receive 200,000 in money as a reward and thanks her for allowing him to be in the group with her. Seeing the reward he received for defeating the final boss, he decides to gift her, confusing her, thinking he was flirting with her. But he tells her to stop with her fantasies since it was a reward for having used her. As this happens, the dungeon begins to collapse and a voice tells him to leave quickly. He notices something strange happening at the academy. The 2 start running towards the door, but she falls, dislocating her ankle. She then says sadly for him to leave. He accepts her as his companion and decides to save her by throwing her directly into the door. She says he didn't need to do that and starts to go crazy because she thought he was going to die since he had a return scroll to the city he could use at any moment to go back to the city to which he was bound. Upon returning to the academy, he is surprised to see the dungeon entrance in poor condition, asking what happened. In the distance, Tiati was crying, thinking he had died, but he appears behind her. She jumps with joy upon seeing him and hugs him. In front of them appears the group of Black Tiger mercenaries who were exiled for killing several people in the safe zone 5 years ago. He wonders how they managed to enter the safe zone and thinks they are looking for a reason to kill her. The mercenaries start attacking them upon realizing they are level 3. But with a single move, he manages to kill these level 15 mercenaries. One of them, to avoid being killed, says that a group called Juan had hired them to kill Mokir, and also gave a reward to the mercenaries' captain. Upon hearing this, he remembers having heard that the Juan group was in conflict with a group called Amo. He plans to go to the Amo group to warn them that he paid the money, but it would no longer help. The mercenary, upon receiving all this information, drinks a potion, but it is poisonous and kills him, obtaining various objects. He tells Tiao to hide because the academy had an ability that would prevent her from escaping. Tiao is happy because he was worried about her. He advises to be careful when trying to save the other students with the main goal of keeping himself alive. On the other hand, these mercenaries were responsible for destroying the dungeon, thinking they had killed the students. From a distance, he was waiting for the Eye of Truth to cool down so he could use it in the hall where all the students who entered the dungeon were tied up. The teacher there was begging to let her students go. The level 25 mercenary captain saw the teacher's good looks and tore her clothes to take her to bed, but she pushed him away. The teacher was there, and his goddess, however, the captain with his higher level, hit him and congratulated him for his audacity, seeing the potential to become a villain. The captain gave him a weapon to kill his companions and become a mercenary of the Black Tigers. The captain and his companions were afraid of dying, but Final Moon did not want to be a mercenary and attacked the captain with the weapon, but he was easily overpowered, and the captain was about to kill him. At the last moment, Final Moon used the Widow's Red Nile on the captain, knocking him to the ground. He congratulated Final Moon for making good decisions in crucial moments despite his questionable actions. The other mercenaries tried to attack, but he killed them with a single move, gaining experience points for the system. He offered Final Moon to become his younger brother as he had shown skill in making the right decisions in life-or-death situations. Final Moon accepted, and he gave him a weapon, saying that, for now, the value of his experience was a gift. With this weapon, Final Moon killed the captain and leveled up 5 times consecutively. Final Moon freed the teacher, and she thanked him for saving her from the captain, making him blush. The teacher asked what they should do as there were more kidnapped students, and the academy was a mess asking for help. He said he would devise a plan to escape, and the system warned that the Eye of Truth was ready to be used. He used the ability, generating a map of the academy and a map of the biological distribution. Observing the map, he decided that the saved students would go to the warehouse since there were no mercenaries. And he noticed that there was a level 45 mercenary, deducing that this was the leader of the mercenary group. He ordered Final Moon to take the students to the warehouse, but he wanted to follow him to kill the mercenaries. He said no, because he would only be a burden. He gave the Widow's Red Nile to protect himself from the mercenaries, as they were at a higher level than him. Being alone, he wasn't sure if he could defeat the mercenary leader, since with his level 12 union, he could only deal with people with levels lower than 25. He decided to enter the system space to increase his union level as he had collected many experience points. With all the points, he managed to reach union level 21 and level 4 in his profile, surprising as normally 10 union levels would increase 1 level in his profile. Since he surpassed union level 20, the system activated the specialization of Emperor Schlan's talent and gave him a point to choose a talent. After much thought, he decided to activate the defensive talent that could be used for 1 minute and had a cooldown of 1 hour. Meanwhile, these mercenaries were talking about an unknown continent rumored to be an ancient product of prehistory. Monsters were so powerful that the major exploration groups needed to be cautious. A mercenary heard that the Huan group and the Ammo group were competing for a dungeon. Another mercenary silenced him as it was a private matter, but then Lavu appears, killing the mercenaries, and decides to act quickly since the person with high levels after a humiliating fight appears the commander of the high-level mercenaries, and the other mercenaries do not laugh, challenging them more. Lagola casts a skill on them after the grenade, surprising him because he managed to withstand the power of the grenades. Legal starts provoking him to unleash his most powerful attacks, and somewhat irritated, he starts shooting with unlimited ammunition. However, Lavu dodges all the attacks with a skill. Being close, he launches an attack with his light sword, but it doesn't help since Vikul's armor is also level 40, so it doesn't cause much damage. As they separate, Lavu asks why they want to kill Mokirir, and he said that the head of Veil is worth a fortune. Joao uses an object that protects from all ego attacks within a barrier. Seeing that he can't overcome this, only Legu has a trick to defeat him. He places himself behind a shield and begins to approach Vikul, who was laughing, thinking that Legu had already given up. When he is close enough, Legu uses an incineration skill, which is a branch of the defensive talent. This burns the target, consuming the opponent's equipment, reducing the damage but consuming 75% of Legu's life. After receiving this attack, his life percentage had not decreased. Irritated, Vikul starts attacking, thinking that Lavu was joking, but Legu only needed to last 1 minute. The system activates the Bloodlock skill upon seeing that Legu had less than 10% life and continued resisting the infinite attacks. At this point, Vikul's weapons are completely destroyed thanks to the skill that Legu used earlier. Levu uses another skill to heal 30% of his life, allowing him to rise and continue the fight. But now, without his armor and weapons, Vikul becomes easy prey. He begs not to be killed, and the other arrives saying that he will forgive him if he opens the treasure chest protected by a password. Vikul opens the chest to be forgiven, but the other kills him anyway as he realizes that he could become a powerful enemy in the future, which would result in experience points for the system. The reward given is a level 40 dungeon key. A stranger arrives, opens the chest, achieving a feat, and is very happy as it is the first time he opens a treasure chest. The items he receives are excellent, and what he likes the most is the ancient magic crystal that absorbs magic to convert it into 100,000 experience points. Upon entering the system space, the system recommends that he unlocks another account of the king due to the enormous amount of experience points. He thinks about it, opening the first talent map of the Emperor. But he is disappointed as 1 point to activate a talent requires 100,000 experience points. When he asks how much it costs to unlock a new account, the system says it costs 100,000 experience points. He decides it is more advantageous to unlock a new account, praying that it is a powerful one. The system initiates the process and assigns an account called Crazy Moss. Moss was a mad scientist from another world. Ingenuity led to the destruction of his own world. He was disappointed because he did not receive a combat account, but as he was a powerful person, he decided to see what abilities Musco had. The system says that Musco's abilities vary according to the selected title, and the current title is Master of Engineering. He chooses Musco as his main account and is about to learn about his abilities when a small robot called Oi arrives. It is an artificial intelligence created by Musco and explains that Musco's account becomes stronger the crazier he gets. The central mechanism of the Musco account is decomposition, plus functions equal to creation. This means he can dismantle and then merge objects to create even more powerful ones. He negotiates happily because he thought the Musgo account would not be very helpful, but currently there are restrictions on the objects he can dismantle and merge with his current union level. He cannot dismantle objects that are twice his current level. Additionally, he needs to collect all kinds of engineering designs to produce accessories and weapons quickly and accurately. He asks the system about the mechanism for switching accounts and if there are any restrictions. The system, a little irritated for having spoken with Oi, says that he can switch accounts even in battle, but suggests he choose the moment carefully to avoid irreversible danger. Legal sets off to save the academy and decides to take Oi to help him if necessary. Meanwhile, in the director's office, she was warning the level 45 mercenary leader that he needs to be prepared since he got involved with her. The mercenary leader says that they generally do not do this, however. There was someone supporting them, like Moquire, who was from the ammo group. He asks Moquire if Ruan's group is helping them, and the mercenary leader does not hesitate to say yes. He mentions that even if the light kills them, they will not be separated from the ammo group, but for the mercenary leader, that did not matter. What mattered was only the money he was going to receive. The mercenary leader asks for 100 million to spare his life, and was not going to pay anything since the mercenary leader has no integrity in his business. But the mercenary leader gives him one last chance to think it over, and he can. However, and regretting the case, this is how we will end this video. But if you liked it, leave a like. If you want the continuation, leave your comment below, and remember, it's very good that the lazy soul wants everything but achieves.